Law enforcement agencies across Arizona are taking time today to remember a Tohono O'odham police officer who was killed in the line of duty. Officer Bryan Brown was killed yesterday in the middle of making an arrest. Team 12's William Pitts has more on the officer, who was a veteran, brother, and friend.
Condolences from police departments across the state, Scottsdale, Nogales, thanking Tohono O'odham police officer Bryan Brown for his service. Officer Brown's brother sharing this message with us. Bryan was my older brother and my hero. He loved and cared for everyone. He was a role model for so many, including myself. He loved his job and gave the ultimate sacrifice for it. He will be missed by many. His brother also sharing with us one of his favorite pictures of Bryan serving in the First Gulf War. He says his brother served 12 years in the Army before becoming a police officer. Officer Brown died in the line of duty near the tiny community of Y, Arizona. It's a town southeast of Ajo near the Tohono O'odham Reservation. According to the FBI, the Tohono O'odham police were investigating an armed driver who was acting erratically near the Desert Diamond Y Casino. The FBI hasn't given many details of what happened out there. They say at some point Officer Brown was, in their words, seriously injured. They have not said how. But he was airlifted to a hospital here in Phoenix where he was pronounced dead. The Border Patrol was also helping with the case and arrested the suspect after a short chase. The suspect was apparently also injured and taken to a hospital as well. Traffic was stopped on the road to Y, turning away drivers headed south. Officers consoling each other on the highway. The president of the Tohono O'odham Nation issued a statement that said, "This is a sad day for the Tohono O'odham Nation, and our hearts go out to the family and friends of this fine officer who gave his life in the line of duty. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers."
William, thanks.